I think with someone like Donald Trump, it's always a good idea to ask, what's their actual motivation? At Fort Bragg, Donald Trump talked about the protesters in Los Angeles as foreign invaders. He has talked about the Biden administration as being scum. He's called judges who have ruled against him people who hate America. He uses this inflammatory language to try to identify people who are, in his view, contrary to the best interests of the country and position himself as the savior of the country. Now, that rhetoric, you can get numb to it because he does it so much and it's so ridiculous. But it has a point. And the point is to convince people who aren't really paying attention to what he's saying to just accept it at some kind of even potentially subconscious level. So, how does this work relative to Los Angeles? So, foreign invaders, national security risk, which is what he has said in those words or thereabouts. One can think then that anyone who stands up to oppose Donald Trump's policies is a foreign invader who poses a national security risk. And therefore, the military should respond to that. Well, when people break the law in the process of demonstrating, whether that's vandalism, violence, what have you, they should be arrested and prosecuted for that. But to characterize protesting generally as harmful to the best interests of the United States is designed to encourage the American people to approve of his silencing of that dissent. And to be sure, Donald Trump hasn't just restricted that kind of framing to Los Angeles. Against Elon Musk, he vowed to harm Elon Musk's interests, I presume, because he has been critical of Trump. Now, Musk's speech against Trump, just like the speech against Trump in Los Angeles, is protected political speech as long as it's not accompanied by any other lawbreaking. But in Trump world, any speech against Donald Trump, speech that Donald Trump doesn't agree with, is anti-American, contrary to the national security interests of the United States. And putting the military in the middle of that is an attempt to reinforce that message. That's one concern. The second concern is to acclimate the military to the idea that the real national security risks to the country aren't from the outside, which is what they are, of course, trained to do to protect us from enemies outside of the country, but rather that we, the people, are actually enemies. That we, the people, are divided as a country between those who are good Americans and those who are foreign invaders who should be silenced and who knows what else. Now, it's hard to overstate how contrary all of that is to our political system. It is exactly the sort of framing of political dialogue and political dissent that is contrary to the foundations of our government. That framing is what dictators and tyrants do. And at one point, I think fairly recently, Trump said, sure, we'll have the president of North Korea here. And boy, is he a strong man. And when he speaks, his people sit up and take notice. And I want my people to sit up and take notice. As if he's a king or a dictator. He's a president. And the proper way to understand the relationship between the people and the president is that we rule over him. He doesn't rule over us. Now, we do it through lawful means. We do it through our elected representatives. We do it through the courts. And we do it through the ballot box. But nevertheless, he's accountable to the people. Any other system of government is not a constitutional republic, which is another form of democracy. Another form of government by the people, for the people. So when Trump tries to divide us in that way into two categories, good Americans and bad Americans, that should make the hair stand up on the backs of all Americans, because it's exactly what tyrants do. Try to divide us for having political disagreements. We've got to be extremely alert right now to the kind of messaging that Trump is sending out. And we've got to counter it at every turn.